Ladies and gentlemen, how are you doing on this unseasonably warm Thursday evening in my part of the universe? It was bright and sunny in New York City today, even a little bordering on warm. I hope you're doing well. I am doing well. I may have been spending the better part of the last 3 days screaming at people on Twitter, but I need you to know that I am carrying that exact same energy into this show. So, welcome to the next hour plus of your life. I am Steve, aka 5-Star Matchup, and here as usual on Thursdays with me is my good friend, the legendary Mr. Steel Flyers 52. How you doing, bud?
Oh man, I'll tell you what, man. We're gonna call you Mr. Enfuego tonight. Okay, we're just do that. Okay, we'll get that out of the gates because I'm here, man. This guy is fire. Not only is he putting out awesome stuff, man, but it gets longer every week. 21 minutes of playtime. Woo, doggies, man! If you guys haven't checked out 5-Star Matchup on YouTube, you got to go check it out, man, because you really got to go check it out. This guy puts it together, puts it down, his whole team of people that he's got working for him, man. That's why they call him 5-Star Matchup, because he's in it, and because his team is in it, and because this is what they do. Right? Now, come on, get on over there and check it out, right? For sure. I'm excited about this, man. This is Browns week, right?
This is what
Oh,
we do it for, ladies
oh.
and gentlemen. Is this not what we do it for? This is why we're here. This is, this is why we do what we do. Um, I would like to begin today, if you'll, you know, if you'll allow me, if you'll have me.
Yeah, please, by all means.
Um, you guys might have heard of a guy named Chuck Noll, right? I think we're all pretty familiar with him. He was a Steelers coach from 1969 to 1992, I believe, right? Um,
Yep, yep.
Basically led the change in the whole organization from a perennial loser to a perennial winner. Um, Genuinely just an amazing, great man. I've professed my love for Chuck Noll as a human being on this show because he actually, you know, I'm often at odds with quote unquote old school mindset, but Chuck Noll was a people person first and foremost. Yeah. What's
Old school.
that?
What? I'm old school.
No, but I'm saying like the put your head against a brick wall. And what I love about Chuck Noll is that he was always a thinking man, and he always
Teacher.
emphasized your ability outside of the game and your interests in other things, so on and so forth. So I love Chuck Noll. This is something I was thinking about, so I'm going to tie it in. So this is just the beginning of this book, by the way. This book is by Michael McCambridge, came out a few years ago. It's called His Life's Work. It's a tome, but if you ever want something to read, my friends, it's excellent. Um, but I wanted to just start with the very beginning, which is the prologue. I'll read about a page here. From the sidelines, through the maze of bodies, he could see it developing. The initial misdirection. Harris taking a step to his left, turning completely around and now heading right. Mullins setting back in a pass-blocking stance, then releasing to lead interference. Harris accepting the ball from Bradshaw and sliding into the vacated outside hole, beginning to rumble as his blockers cleared the way. By the time the exhausted Vikings defenders dragged him down, he'd gained 15 yards. The Steelers had another first down, and the final result was no longer remotely in doubt. As the lights cast an ethereal glow through the frigid gloom of the New Orleans twilight, and the scoreboard clock worked its way towards 00 in the heavy Louisiana air, Super Bowl IX neared its conclusion, and the Pittsburgh Steelers stood on the verge of becoming world champions. The season's work was nearly complete. It was in these moments, with the end of the quest imminent, when Chuck Noll often would feel the emptiest. All the shared effort and focus that Noll had mustered throughout the long season was bound up in that moment, and then After the inevitable diminution, I don't know how to pronounce that word, but diminishment of time, it was all over. He was left there with nothing but the formalities, the handshakes, and mere words that could never do justice to the things he felt. For a time, he held the melancholy and hollowness at bay, in a negative space where the sense of purpose had thrived for months. It all remained on the inside, where he kept his deepest feelings, unshared, unremarked upon, often unexamined. So this goes on, and basically the point of this is that winning and the feelings associated with it are fleeting at best. They're wonderful when you achieve them, and they're the culmination of all of this work and energy and effort you put in. And no matter how you achieve them, no matter how you get to being on the shoulders of Mean Joe and Franco Harris, it's over when it's over, and then it's on to the next one. He goes on to talk about how even in the post game he gets interviewed by like NBC or whoever, and he says, yeah, well, it's time to, we'll celebrate this, and then it's time to look on to the next one. And I just, with what I've been arguing with people about for the last couple days in regards to Kenny Pickett on Twitter, I've been going absolutely crazy. I just felt it important to remind people to enjoy the present while it's here. And yes, this Kenny Pickett thing is weird, man. It is so weird, and I get it. It's I do a show about the team. I know. It's like weird. I don't know how to explain. Is he a good player? Is he a bad player? Whatever. All I know is the Pittsburgh Steelers are 6-3. Just take a moment and enjoy it. Drink it in a little bit. Cheers.
Sniff that rose just a way out of the 5-star mug there. By the way, folks, this is now more important than ever. You need to hop on over to the patreon.com/5SMU. Get yourself subbed up, man. $4 or $7 a month. Look, it's less than $50 a year.
You tell me the Seriously, other Steelers man. Content creator out there who's preparing monologues from the Chuck Noll book for you, and I'll go support them on Patreon. But until there's another one of those...
until then... Hop on over, man. You guys know what you got to do. Cool stickers, really cool from the main man himself. You also get to have access to the Discord server where you can talk to him. I mean, like, if you want to wake him up. And I highly suggest... Oh, no, I'm just kidding. Don't...
That's okay. I never sleep. That's what the coffee's for.
Oh, see, now that explains why it was just... a wide-angle lens.
Yes. Before the show, Steel Flyers was he was remarking at the unbelievable size of my French press. It was magnified by the angle of my webcam.
Yeah, don't give me that.
Well, how do you think I do this show? How do you think I do this show in one night? Do you know how hard this is? All right, but yeah,
that's why I'm saying, right? Coffee. Good gosh.
So yeah, I don't know. The Noll thing though, I thought that was poignant because I think back to, you remember when the Steelers won the Super Bowl, 05, 08, whichever.
Which one? Okay, I was just saying, which one?
Just whatever, right? And I remember how for a week you're like, wow, like we're champions, like it's amazing, and then the rest of the world moves on, and then it's baseball season, and then it's basketball season, and then it's 4th of July, and then it's a new year, and everyone's equal again. And, I mean, that's at the height. That's the absolute best thing you could achieve in sports, is that you win a championship and you have some fun. And then it's on to the next thing. It's fleeting. And I just think people are missing what could be a really fun situation with this Kenny Pickett ride right now. That's all I'm saying.
I gotta be honest with you, my man. I'm not sold, and I'm in, and I'm not ready to throw in the towel. But I tell you, as the number of games stack up, as long as the wins keep stacking up, I'm going to use a Tomlinism here.
Love it.
Here you go. When you walk into the front office, the Steelers' home is, right? What do you walk? Lombardi trophies, right? Look, man, I could care less if Kenny Pickett is the 64th worst quarterback in the league. I do not care. When you're running the ball like that, okay. If you ain't running the ball like that, then Kenny Pickett better be in the top 10 quarterbacks. That's all I'm saying. Look, we finally got an identity. Our identity is definitely not the quarterback.
Clearly.
Monster with Jalen and Najee. What?
I mean, you're talking about 200 yards
to play quarters. We could probably be a 30-point team. We could probably play from behind. I mean.
Yeah. No, listen. I mean. Yeah. No, I think that, there's a lot to be concerned with, and I'm not trying to say, I think that's, I think again that's my point, is that people struggle with comprehending things in the gray area, the middle between black and white. And I think it can be okay in this post-Roethlisberger existence to not really be sure how you feel about a player. I mean, ultimately, how you or I or any single person in this chat feels about Kenny Pickett, it really does not matter. I hate to tell you that, but it doesn't matter. Your opinion does not change anything. It does not impact the way that Mike Tomlin, puts his game plan together. It does not impact who they're going to draft next year. It's the reality. And so I just think that the kids win in games, man. Like, sure, they're ugly and sure, they're weird. But then, I mean, like, I just feel like I'm going crazy here because people will say, I posted that throw. I think it was, I don't know. I posted a lot of stuff the last couple of days, really fighting with a lot of people, but I posted something about like that throw he made to Steven Sims, you and I have talked about in the Ravens game last year, which I think most of us agree was the best NFL throw he's made so far. And I had people what's that?
Got connected.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
The ball.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, that he did was the one that George missed a couple weeks ago, where he didn't put his feet in bounds. I thought that was probably his best throw.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Prior to that one throw that he made over the middle to George Pickens for that winning score, sure. I believe that was against Tennessee.
Yeah.
That game. Okay, so you've seen flashes of the NFL throws now.
Exactly. So I post that and you see people, and I had people be like, okay, well, what happened to that guy? And I said, like, okay, let's just take a step back. All right. And look at the last handful of games. Let's go back to the Baltimore game. Okay. By the way, he has not thrown an interception in this span. This goes back to, he has not thrown an interception since October 1st against Houston. Baltimore. What did he do against Baltimore? Oh, cold as ice touchdown pass, 40 yards to George Pickens, drop in the bucket. Who did he beat? Marlon Humphrey, all-pro cornerback, perfect throw, absolute rope, touchdown, beat your biggest rival, the best team in the AFC right now. Okay, not bad. LA Rams, what did he do? Second half, he completely outplayed a Super Bowl winning quarterback, Matthew Stafford, and was flawless in the fourth quarter. I believe he had one incompletion, throw for 230 yards. They had 3 rushing touchdowns, whatever it was. I think he rushed for one, and each of the backs had one. They had a good day at the office. That was a good win. Okay, they scored 24 points. They won that game, and he was the best player on the field in the fourth quarter. Jacksonville, he got hurt. Mitchell Trubisky came in, showed you exactly what life without Kenny Pickett would be like, aka terrible. Then he played on a short week with an injured knee or injured ribs against Tennessee.
What?
Yeah, both. Yeah. Tennessee, short week. Yeah, he only threw for 160 yards, but they won the game in the fourth quarter. He made a game-winning touchdown pass with 4 minutes to go. And then Green Bay Packers, they didn't ask him to do a lot. They ran the ball for 250 yards, and he threw a game-sealing pass over the middle, like everyone's screaming all day, every day, again to George Pickens, and it was wiped away because of a cheesy penalty. So...
That was pretty cheesy penalty, by the way.
It was, but I'm just saying, like, do we care about the stats or do we care about the wins? Because I'm watching a guy who is making winning plays in winning moments almost every week. And all I hear is people complaining about him. It's unbelievable. I don't care if he throws for 75 yards. If they win the game, he could throw for, if he threw for 1,500 yards, if he started every game and threw for 1,500 yards, but they went 12-5, I wouldn't give a damn. And I'm serious.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, all you have to do is look at Ben Roethlisberger, the first couple games that he came out and played and how they treated him. I'm not comparing the two at all. But what I'm trying to say, I don't think the reins have been lifted from Kenny Pickett at all.
No, of course not.
He has very little freedom to call his own plays. And then here's the other thing, too, that I'm going to also throw out there. The throws that he's, quote, scripted to throw are all the lowest percentage throws that you can possibly make on the tree, which are all outside the numbers, okay, and builders. Okay, I'm sorry, but my first, 6 scripted passes should not be those passes, right? I should have a pass that I get to roll out one time and throw on the move. I should have at least one where I can, drop back, whatever, and survey the field. I should get look. There's too many things going on here that muddy the water, if you will, with Kenny Pickett, because he's not had a consistent offensive line the whole year. He's not had a consistent offensive coordinator the whole year. He's not a consistent number one receiver here. As we all love George Pickens, as much as we all see the greatness there, if he shuts up and puts his helmet on and plays the game. I mean, look, I'm going to go back to that same Tomlinism, We walk in and see 6 Lombardis. We don't see 6 rushing titles. We don't see 6 passing titles. We don't see none of that stuff, right? All it cares about is the rings and the
yeah.
Right? Who cares who it was, who caught the touchdown? Look, I have a theory as to why this is the way it is. Because you have a lot of fantasy football. And all of the betting is all based off fantasy football stuff.
No, you're
right.
Right. So you're right. It is a lot of it, and I think it's just it's the social moment we're in, with social media and stuff. Because I think another tweet I put out was like, I jokingly put alternate reality where social media was fully formed in 2006 and 80% of you jabronis wanted Roethlisberger out of town after he threw 23 interceptions. But that's my point though, is when you didn't have a platform to say things like this, it's something you'd say to your cousin at Thanksgiving, oh, this guy sucks or whatever. And now it's just become a hill that people are willing to die on because they chose a side in an argument. And I just don't even understand what the point of you spending time and money and energy caring about a football team or sports team, any team, if you're not going to enjoy it when they're good. I don't care. I see somebody in the chat said the wins are fool's gold. What is fool's gold? Was the Broncos Super Bowl when Peyton Manning had a ramen noodle arm at 100 years old? Was that fool's gold? Yeah, probably. If they play that Super Bowl a bunch more times against a bunch of other teams, they're probably not going to have a performance like that on defense 99 times out of 100. And yeah, maybe it's fool's gold, but does it matter? Let me ask you something. Was it fool's gold when Ben Roethlisberger played the worst game any quarterback's ever played in the Super Bowl and won? Yes, it was, but who gives a damn because we won the Super Bowl? I mean, I just feel like I'm losing my mind. What are we talking about? They're 6-3. They were 2-6 last year.
I mean, I don't even know. I can't even say anything to that, man.
I don't care if Kenny Pickett's 45 years old. I don't care if he throws for 10 yards in the first quarter. Yeah, I want to see better numbers. I wish he was playing better, but at the end of the day, they're 6-3. If they win this weekend, they could be in first place in the division in week 11. Are you going to tell me you really thought that was going to be the case going into this season? Because if you do, then you're lying. Because I was here listening to you saying it wasn't going to happen 10 weeks ago. Oh God. And then don't hit me with the one more last thing. I'm sorry, just one more thing, and I promise I'm done yelling. Don't hit me with the he's regressed thing, by the way. Go look at his games from last year. He had 2 games in the first handful where he threw 3 interceptions. Miami, he absolutely sold it. He could have won that game. Mitchell Trubisky probably wins that game, to be honest with you. And that's fine. Yeah. He was a rookie. But don't tell me he hasn't progressed. He just beat 4 teams in the last 5 weeks or whatever, however many it is. And he hasn't thrown an interception in a month and a half. I mean, don't tell me that's regression. You're just wrong.
Here's the other thing too. And I had a very wise person tell me this one time. Just don't feel that small of people on a small platform, is what the whole world thinks and feels.
True.
Okay. So listen, I so agree with everything you said because I said I can't even say anything until we're done. Cool. See you guys. Slow, see you next week. Right. But here's the thing, right? Is it something that people just feel that they need to complain? Is it something? I mean, look, I'm going to give you a little example about exactly with what you're talking about here. Okay, and I'm not saying any names or anything else like that. And it's a completely different sport. Okay, but a head writer for a particular team is doing exactly what you're talking about doing. Dying on a hill for a player who is not worth dying for. Okay? And then has lashed out at people on social media because they disagree. Okay? To the point of, calling people clowns.
Yeah.
Just being really, really like, okay, that's real professional. Okay. Do you see what I mean? So it's not just football. It's not just the Steelers. It's okay. I just look, we all want to see Kenny Pickett do good. We all want to see him get that MVP passing title. We've never had in Pittsburgh. Right? There's never been a quarterback that's ever been an MVP coming out of Pittsburgh, except for Terry Bradshaw when he was playing in the Super Bowl. Otherwise, there's never been MVP coming out of Pittsburgh, right? The thing that ever came out of Pittsburgh was a defensive player of the year, right? We had Troy Pollu, we had James. Well, okay, but we need an offense one, And can we get? Ben was rookie of the year. I thought that was it.
I honestly thought AB should have won it in 2017 if he didn't get hurt with like 3 games to go. I actually really believed that there was a somewhat legitimate chance he would have had some votes for it because he was, every week that year he did something where it was just like unbelievable.
and he had always had like at least 115 or more yards
Yeah.
a week, and yeah, so I'm with you. Okay, all right. Now, look, this team is 6-3. Has it been pretty much a dumpster fire to get to 6-3? All right. Look, at the point, and this is I think this kind of fuel out of the fire here too. At some that bill is going to come due. You're
Sure.
not going to be able to sustain this. This might get you to the playoffs, but you ain't gonna be able to do it. You're gonna have to be able to come out and just ball out, and it can't be. You got to be doing it down the stretch. It has been proven that teams that win down the stretch, 78% of the time win when they make it to the playoffs or onward and onward. You know what I mean? The hot teams that go in
Sure.
at the end are the teams 78% of the time that are successful within the playoffs. Doesn't matter what round, doesn't matter how far, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And I don't care about if Pittsburgh is the limp-in seed. Don't care. We're 0-0 in the playoffs. As far as I'm concerned, as somebody who proudly wears this emblem every day of the week, I'm going to tell you, it's a birthright that we're playing in late winter.
Exactly. And I mean, here's the thing. Here's the thing that I just, again, like, I know I've been, people that follow me on Twitter, again, I apologize for going absolutely insane for the last couple days. Honestly, to be honest though, seriously, like, I'm not just saying this. Don't ever think that, like, me, like, as a content creator you watch or whatever, or, like, you even just as a friend in real life, like, don't ever think that I'm taking any of this seriously, because I do not care what people like.
Oh my gosh.
Like, I literally, like, I'm having fun with it. I'm like literally just like, these people think that their opinion is so important, and then they'll make fun of people like me for being like, oh, content creator who thinks their opinion. So my opinion literally matters just as little as yours does. That's my whole point. Is just like, why? What's the point? Like, just have fun. Like, I don't understand why you don't want to enjoy this. Yeah, I hear the point about the playoffs and all that kind of stuff. But I don't know. Did you guys really think we were going to win a playoff game in 2021? No. But was it fun to see Ben sneak into the playoffs the last minute of the season for no good reason? Just to have a chance, and even just to believe for 6 days, even though you knew that Leatherface was hiding around the corner with a chainsaw, and you knew that Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce were gonna put us on meat hooks and lop off every limb by limb and just dismantle us. We all knew that was coming, and we oh, Juju's gonna come back. Yeah, sure, okay, and then but still, but that's
that 6 day.
yeah, but that's my point though, is like, I don't care. I still tried to soak up that week as much as possible
Yeah,
because it got one more week with Ben,
take advantage.
Like, I'm just,
Advantage.
and that team
Yeah.
had no chance to win. This team, I don't know, man, if they're going to do this every week. I'm not saying they're doing it to elite teams every week, but they did it to the best team in the AFC this season so far by most accounts, the Baltimore Ravens. Okay, you're going to tell me if they get into the playoffs, this team can't play a game like they have for the last month and pull one out in the fourth quarter? Then all of a sudden, how do you feel about Kenny Pickett? Do you care if Kenny Pickett wins a wild card? Let me ask you something. Do you care if Kenny Pickett wins a wild card game, but he throws 14 of 28 for 117 yards, no touchdowns and no interceptions, but they're in the divisional round of the playoffs? Does that suck just because they're not going to have a chance against Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes next week? No, of course not. You'd still call it progress.
I mean, the fact that you're there, let's start with that you're at the to make game. I mean, hey, look, one of the things that I remember always saying and always quote unquote preaching about is W's. And this goes back to what I've been talking about ever since I really first started. Look, I do not care about the name on the back. I really don't. Okay? I care about this right here. I care about this. When this wins and everybody's name on the back is good. Okay? When this loses, it doesn't matter what the back is now anymore, does it? Because you ain't going to be there no more.
Yeah.
Right? So, and 10, 5, 3, 2 years, you're going to be going away. So, this is what I care about right here, this shield right here.
Yeah.
Okay? When this wins, then everybody wins. Look at how awesome it is when we win, when the Steelers win. Look, the positivity of we got 2 5-star player the games, right? Come on. How do you what's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with that, right? That's like, look, would you much rather watch Bears run up and down teams and your team just lose and not make it to the playoffs?
That's
I
what I
mean,
don't that's what I don't get. That's what I don't get with folks. Like I don't know. Like I see people in the chat here. Like for I'll call you out by name because you're chatting, Nicholas and Julian. I'm guessing. I'm wondering if you guys are younger folks because my whole theory is that like I think like in this social media and video game age, to be honest, and don't get me wrong, I live and work on social
whoa.
media and play video games and all that kind of stuff. I hear you. I just think hypothetically, a lot of folks get wrapped up in like the value of assets and we got a tank for a draft pick and all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, like
There's no tanking in football.
the Steelers' quickest route to being successful is with Kenny Pickett right now, as they're constructed, just the way that the Steelers do business. That's that's how it is. Okay, so you're not younger than me, you're older than me, and you're arguing for an essentially a tank, and that to me I just think is crazy, man. I don't ever want to see the Steelers tank. Did you guys not have fun? Like, and this is I feel I am having flashbacks to 2019 so hard this year. Not only because I've leaned into like looking at that season because that was the first season of 5-star, this is season 5, whatever. But I mean, like, I did you guys like not have fun with that year? You know, like I know it sucked that everybody's like, oh well, they were 8-5 and they lost 3 down the stretch and didn't make the playoffs. And it's like, but yeah, but they were 8-5 with Duck Hodges and Mason Rudolph. Like after Ben Roethlisberger got knocked out, you're gonna tell me that week 2 that season, and you just heard your all time franchise hero is gonna miss the rest of the season. Maybe he'll never play again. And you really would have said right then and there, oh yeah, I wish they didn't trade for Minka Fitzpatrick, and I wish they lost 13 out of the next 14, so they would have picked in the top 3 in the draft. Really? That's what you would have rather have happen than like a whole fun season where like for a bunch of crazy reasons like Duck Hodges beat Kyler Murray? You would rather trade that for a better draft pick? I don't know. I don't know. I don't see it. That's not how I see football, man. I'm here to root for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I want the Pittsburgh Steelers to win, and that's why I'm here, and that's why I do this. And I don't know. You can call me a fanboy if you want. I don't really think Kenny Pickett has lowered my expectations. Heck, if anything lowered my expectations, it was Mike Tomlin and Ben Roethlisberger in the second half of his career when he went 3-8 in the playoffs since the third Super Bowl. Okay. Has Kenny Pickett ever lost a playoff game to Tim Tebow?
Oh, man, really?
I'm just saying. You're gonna tell me I'm lowering expectations because I think the team's moving.
I hate that game.
Me too. But I'm just saying, like, I'm just saying we've gotten to this point now where like past things are like infallible. When 2 years ago, all everybody was saying was we haven't won a playoff game since 2017. Blah 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 blah. I don't know. You genuinely don't think the Steelers are in a better place right now than they were a year ago? You really don't? Because I just think that's insane to say. They're 6-3. They were 2-6 last year.
I like what I probably am not going to say this right. Frame. I like what Frame. Is this the year before the year? Right. Look, this team, what it is, okay? And as much as we want to make it be something, we can't, okay? And I have to be honest with you, I think I stopped a fanboy probably 5 years ago, okay? I've watched so much tape of this team in the last, oh my gosh, 6 years. It's pretty sad, okay? But that's the only way you learn. It's the only way you get to see. That's the only way you get to see. That's the only way that, you know, the only reason why Five Star is so successful is because he does watch the tape, does look at these kinds. He is very. I've never met anybody as Five Star have this much knowledge of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Okay, there's a lot of people out there that know historically about the Steelers from way back from 1933, from when they blah blah blah, the whole 9 yards, right? But I've never met anybody who can pull stats, games, moments out of time and be like, yeah, you remember when Ben did this? Or do you remember when blah, 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 right? So, to sit here and call us fanboys, and you can do better than that. Really. Okay? Seriously. Another wise man once told me one time, look, we understand that you're necessarily here to see us. You're here to hear about the information that we're presenting. But we have to do it in a way so that you want to hear it. Okay? So
exactly. End of the day, I'm just out here having fun. this is fun. I mean, literally, Tuesday when I went on Twitter, like I had my my in office day on Tuesday, so that's the one day of the week that I actually go into an office, and like I came home and like I was home by myself, and I just started letting loose on Twitter, and I just quote tweeting everybody doing this, doing that, and I was like, honestly, like I had a good time. It's fun. I love baiting people, and I love when people say stuff like, oh, well, you're just biased and you're cherry picking stats, and I'm like, yeah, my whole job is to create a narrative. Like that's what I'm doing. Like I'm just shaping a conversation to get you to respond. That's the whole point of what I'm getting paid to do here at Five Star Matchup.
that's why we do this here. So y'all talk.
Yeah.
So y'all get to put things up there on Twitter. So y'all get to fire off the social media. We're you know, it's hey, look.
I mean, and the thing with Pickett, I mean, ultimately, look, I'm gonna move off the topic, but the thing is, like, the reality is, this is the rest of this year. No matter what you think, the rest of this year is Matt Canada and Kenny Pickett, and I mean, if they win on Sunday against a third string quarterback, which they should,
ride.
they'll be 7-3, guys. Like, think
We
about that.
ride.
Think about that. I mean, you know, if you get to 7-3, you're literally talking about if you go 3-4, you won 10 games. I think all of us had 10 as the barometer for this season for the most part, right? I think Vegas probably had 8.5.
Remember that specifically. I remember specifically you. Were, I think we were either 10 and 11.
I thought they had a good chance to get to 11.
Wins.
Yeah, I still think they have a good chance to get to 11. Look, if you get to 7-3, okay, 7-3, all you got to do to get to 11 wins is go 4-2, right? Or I'm 4-3, 4-3. That's all. That's all you would have to do. I don't know. The records still they still sound so weird to me. I'm so used to 16 games my whole life. That's one thing I can't get used to. I'll never not think
okay, let's go.
Like 10-6, 11-5, 12-4. I'll never like that's they were just so specific my whole life, and now I can't get the hang of
it. So I'm gonna tell y'all that I remember 4. So I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But I want to go back to what you said when we first started off the show here about Chuck Noll.
Yeah.
Okay. And I think that we'll take a huge lesson from a teacher because Chuck Noll was. I've read so many things by so many different players about how Chuck Noll is not a rah-rah guy. He, blah, 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 the whole, and we all watched some of the shows where, they've made some quotes and all. But when you read some of the books and you read some of the things there's of, because he was a part of their life.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? He isn't just their football coach. He was their teacher. He was their mentor. Some of them, he was their father figure. Do you know what I'm saying? So the thing about what's going on right now, okay, I honestly think that this would be a perfect Chuck Noll team. And I'm not trying to look. We all know how I feel about Mike Tomlin. I'm not in his camp. Okay, if he goes away tomorrow, I'd be okay with that. Okay, to be quite honest with you, but because I think there's a new message, a new voice needs to be there in Pittsburgh. I think it's time. I really think it's time, and it's no slight to Mike Tomlin at all. No slight to Mike Tomlin at all, because he is a Hall of Fame. Okay, and I think exactly. I agree with what you said, man. I think he'll be a great broadcaster or a great guy sometime down the road. He has the personality. He's the only coach I've ever met aside from Bill. Well, no, he's the only coach that I've ever met where you can listen to him for 20 and still not have any idea about what he said.
Yeah, I know.
You know what I mean? Like, what? What? Huh? I was listening to the press conference this week, and I was like, wow. All I got was some stuff of good people, and then that was about it.
Not to interrupt, but did you the one nice thing though? Did you catch the question about his kiddo playing ball this week, because he's going to be playing tonight, I think, at Acrisure?
Yes,
that was actually really
yes,
cool.
yes.
That was cool. I love when Mike gets to be a dad. It's kind of cute. I like it. That's the thing. I always like
to be the dad.
I always just say, like, regardless of how you feel about Mike as a coach and his place within the organization and whatever, I just always feel it's really important to reiterate he's a tremendous dude, and he's just a great guy, and I just, I'm always I'll always be proud that he's my team's football coach. Like, I am with you. Like, I have gotten to a point where sometimes I'm like, maybe it's time for something different or whatever. But again, this year is really, it's got a chance to turn into something that I think is genuinely impressive. Call it fool's gold if you want, but if they really cobblestone together 10 or 11 wins with this team, and they put up a fight in the playoffs, maybe even steal a win, I think you got to give them some flowers, man. I really do. I think they found something that works for them, and they're doing it. And I can't knock it just because I'm going to look at statistics and say, oh, well, they're the 30th ranked defense and the 31st ranked offense or whatever. Actually, I think statistically the defense is ranked lower than the offense, if I'm not mistaken. But they keep getting turnovers when it matters, and the offense keeps not turning it over. Kenny Pickett, again, you're going to tell me he's regressed? He's
even Najee,
Najee never fumbles. Pickett has the least turnovers of any quarterback in the league. I mean,
exactly.
He's turned the ball over 4 times in 10 games. I mean, what do you want, man?
Okay, so there just so happened to be a game coming up here.
Yeah.
Here real soon.
Yeah.
Days. Look, what I was trying to get to with the Chuck Noll thing is this.
Right. Sorry.
Okay. You could tell he was happy, but he was sad at the same time when he were doing the interviews for the Super Bowl. But you tell, because you could hear all the guys in the background, and the champagne and beer stuff was flying around and hooting and hollering and whatever, right? But you could also tell that he was sad, because exactly with what you read, and that's exactly what explains it, how it's about Chuck Noll. He was about the process. He was about getting there. He was about teaching you the fundamentals, the X's and O's, putting together a narrative to get to where you could be the best that you could possibly be at the best possible time when you were needed.
Yep.
Okay. And that basically sums up Chuck. Okay. And that's one of the reasons why he was one of the, I mean, he's a Hall of Fame coach. And that's another main reason why he coached for so long. There's very few professional football coaches that say, hey, I 20, 21 years, 20 years, whatever he coached for, what?
Yeah.
How many professional football can say that?
No, I know.
I mean, I think Belichick is getting close to that.
Yeah, I mean it's and people are already ready to sell
For one,
him up the river, and that I can't even believe. I mean that to me, I just think that that's frankly shameful what's happening there with Belichick. I say what you want about the cheating and whatever. I don't care. I just think it's really disgraceful that there's genuinely people in the national media and a lot of people in their local media now that are like really just like, oh, is Bill Belichick gonna get fired? Are you kidding me? The guy won 7 Super Bowls or 6 Super Bowls or whatever it was. Like, are you kidding? Like, how quickly we forget for 20 years the Patriots were a legitimate chance to win the Super Bowl every single year. They went to the AFC Championship almost 50% of the time, maybe more.
More. Let me just give you guys a little clue phone, okay? You know what Bill Belichick quietly did this past offseason?
Signed an extension.
Take a guess. Signed a contract extension. Yeah. Hey, what do you know?
Yeah.
So guess what? He ain't going no flicking where.
He might. I do think he might. They might like agree to part ways, though. I think I could actually see that happening. They'll never call it a firing. They'll never call it a firing. I don't think. But I do think there's a chance Bob Kraft. I do think there's a chance they kind of have like one of those Bruce Arians, like you got to retire kind of things.
That's the only way he's going to leave is if Kraft says that you got to go.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it's going to be when Bill decides he wants to go.
Yeah.
Okay. So as far as I know, his contract extension, 2 years with a 1-year option, I believe, for a total of 3 years, something like that. There's the other thing too that kind of strikes me a little bit as well. Mike Tomlin is on a year-to-year. So I like I said, my time is coming to the end for Mike Tomlin. I just think they're just look, as good of a coach as Noll was, as good of a teacher as he was, the game passed him by.
Sure.
Okay. And I think that's exactly what's happening to Tomlin. I think the game is passing him. And we need somebody that's capable of being that creative, being that coach has, the singular mentality. Do you know what I mean?
So
you gotta find another guy.
Yeah, so I hear that, and I think earlier in the season when things were a little iffier, we had 2 out of 4 of the first games were big blowouts, and last year I was highly critical at times, but I think where I ultimately end up settling with Mike, it really something really hit me recently. One of my uncles, I've told you guys before, some of my family is split down the middle between Steelers and Giants fans. And, because of that, I've always had a lot of respect for the Giants. There's them and the Steelers are kind of sister organizations in a lot of ways and, kind of both do it the right way and, all that kind of stuff. So,
family run.
Yeah. Like I'm not, I'm never going to put on a Giants jersey, but if the Giants are in the Super Bowl, I'm rooting for the Giants. Like, that's,
I'm with you.
Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's, if I had something even close to resembling a second team, that would be it, whatever. But, so my uncle who's a Giants fan, I don't get me wrong, I never watched them. They play horrible football. I hate watching the Giants. They're terrible. But no, so he's a Giants fan, and he is so high on Mike Tomlin, right? I was talking to him a couple weeks ago, and I was like, man, like, blah blah blah, this thing, that thing, but somehow they're winning games. They're 6-3, 5-3, whatever they were at the time. And he goes, you know why that is? He goes, Mike Tomlin. And I just thought that was so funny to hear an outsider. And he's like, look, as a Giants fan, like, yeah, we won a couple of Super Bowls with Coughlin, but look at what the last 10 years has been like for like the Giants, who are like another really stable organization, and they're going nowhere. They got Daniel Jones on that contract. He's gonna probably, who knows if he's even gonna play again for the Giants. He's having a lot of like neck injuries and stuff where you're like start to be like, oh, is this guy gonna even be able to like hold up for a career? And he's also just not very good anyway. And that's a team that's going to win like 3 or 4 games this year. Are you guys telling me you'd really rather be in the Giants' shoes right now? You'd like rather be winning 4 games, but you'll have a high draft pick? Like the Giants took that Thibodeau kid a couple years ago at like number 5 in the draft, and he doesn't even make an impact. He doesn't matter. We took TJ Watt at what, 27? Okay, like it doesn't matter. It just matters if you have the right people in the right building. And I think the thing with Mike, I think I ultimately come down on the side of like he's a good coach because I look at what he's doing like in the post Roethlisberger era, and you compare it to Bill Belichick, who a lot of people consider to be the greatest coach in NFL history. Okay. And you have to say he's doing a heck of a lot better job rebuilding his team and keeping them competitive than Bill Belichick is. Yeah, Bill Belichick made the playoffs that one year with Mac Jones as a rookie, but like they're terrible now. They're going to win 4 games this year, and Mac Jones is getting flushed down the toilet. He's not going to be back because he sucks. Kenny Pickett, whatever you want to say about what he's doing statistically, he's pulling out wins, and he's working in conjunction with Mike Tomlin. And yeah, it might be infuriating every week that the game is going to play out exactly the same way. But if it ends with DeMonte Casey picking off a guy at the goal line every single week to seal a victory, I'll take that 11 out of the next 10 weeks,
So basically what you're saying is that, and see, we talked about this, like a week or so ago. I want to see those, tight, close-knit games. And I want to see those games where, man, I can just kick back and eat a sandwich.
Yeah, sure.
Because we're up by 21 points. You know what I mean? Like, I want to see that every week. It's not going to be like that every week here, people. These are going to be ugly wins, man. There's just no 2 ways around it. Okay. And you have a fledgling offensive coordinator. You have a second-year quarterback. You have a patchwork offensive line. You have a defense that basically up 300 yards passing, 100 yards rushing, and 100 yards receiving every week. Oh, see, this is the thing that's killing me, right? Everybody's throwing all this black shade to Kenny when in reality, what's really been going on is they're now gone for the year. Gone for the year. Okay? Is on the sideline again. Okay? Yeah. Teams are able to just look. I am not going to sit back here and profess kudos for Jordan Love, but the fact that that's able to just basically drop back and bounce.
Yeah.
What?
Well, yeah, but again, hey, what the Steelers are betting right now, and it's working 2/3 of the time. They win 2 out of every 3 games right now. The reality is they're betting that if we play our game and you play your game, we're going to bet that your quarterback is going to, on average, turn the ball over more often against our defense than our quarterback is against your defense. And so far, it's proven to be quite effective. I mean, say what you want about Lamar.
Yeah, say
what you want about Lamar Jackson taking the team down to the end zone. Did he score? No, he threw a interception right in the breadbasket of Joey Porter Jr. Say what you want about Will Levis doing it. Did he score? No, he threw an interception right in the breadbasket of. Was that KZ, that one? I don't even remember.
I think so. No,
No,
that was
Quan.
Quan's.
That was Quan. Yeah. And
That
then
was Quan's.
and then same thing with Jordan Love. He did that, but twice he turned it over. Twice he threw interceptions in the end zone. And so I don't know. Can I really knock that if it's going to continue to work? Like, is it going to get them past Patrick Mahomes? Probably not. But to be honest, is that a more likely way to beat Patrick Mahomes or Joe Burrow than hoping you're going to hold them to 175 yards passing? No, probably not. They're going to move up and down the field no matter who they're playing. So maybe he's just playing to the league as it's constrained. And you know, the thing is, scoring is down a lot.
Good point, man.
The scoring is down a lot in the league. We're kind of moving back in the other direction. Running backs are doing a lot of work right now. There's a lot of running games. Defense. Trevor Lawrence. Everybody's talking about like Kenny Pickett's only got 5 or 6 touchdown passes. I don't even know what it is anymore. I think it's 6. He's got 6 touchdown passes on the season. Trevor Lawrence has 9. Like, and that's a guy that everybody looks at as like an unbelievable next level quarterback because he's 6'5" and does stuff that like makes you go, wow, that's really impressive. But because Kenny Pickett is relatively small and he wears gloves and he has this stigma because of having relatively small hands for an NFL quarterback, which by the way are still bigger than your hands, bet. He just can't escape this criticism. Like, people just want to feel this way about him. And I just think, you know, the quarterback aside, I give Mike credit, man. They're engineering this thing. And I just think if this team, you know, if they go out, I think this game is so big. It's so important. I think it really sets the course for the rest of the season, because regardless of what happens tonight, whichever team wins, you're going to have either a chance to really kind of put yourself in that second spot, or really put yourself in that first spot. And with the win in hand already against Baltimore and them week 18, you know, if Cincy wins tonight and the Steelers win, the Steelers have a very good chance at winning the division. I mean, I'm not even exaggerating when I say that, like, very good.
For one, that makes Baltimore 0-3 versus the division. If they lose, that makes Baltimore 0-3.
Yeah.
So it doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter. Okay, we can still split with the rest of the division and still potentially win division.
Exactly.
Depending on what Cincinnati does. If Cincinnati loses, okay, that still only gives Baltimore 1 win in the division. Okay, with still us to play left again. Right? So it all comes down to this. Okay. The next game on the docket is the Cleveland Browns. Yep. And 5-star, man, I think you are absolutely 120 million% right. This is the Steelers' off game.
Yeah.
I've never seen a more must-win game for this team at any point in time during this season than this game coming up. Because if you get to 7-3, okay, look, that's not the be-all to end-all, because there's still a lot more to do. Okay? You've now put together, 4 wins in a row? Right? So after starting off a little bit slow, and you've managed to go on a 4-game win streak against teams that you weren't expected to win against?
It would be 3. They lost the Jags 2 games ago.
Okay, all right. So 3
but it
game
would
win
be
streak.
it would be hypothetically 1. It would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out of 6. 5 out of 6.
All right. Look, I don't care who you are. You're taking that all day long. I mean, even Meatloaf is taking that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? 5 out of 6, right? You know,
5 out of 6 ain't bad. Good one. Good one. Right? I don't think we've ever referenced Meatloaf on the show before, but shout out Meatloaf. I love him.
Oh, do you really?
I do. Yeah, my dad was a big Meatloaf head. Yeah.
Oh wow, there you go. All right, well, cool then. That works out pretty good.
If I'm not
Cool.
mistaken, I think he lived in Connecticut for a while when I was younger. I think that was a thing. I could be mistaken on that, but I
Yeah,
think that was like a thing where people would be like, "Oh, I saw like Meatloaf at like whatever." Like,
yeah. So whatever restaurant or
yeah,
somewhere
yeah,
down there.
yeah,
Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. Cool. But look, here we are, week 11
yeah,
already. Okay. So the number of games left is much smaller. The number of teams that the Steelers need to win against is going to look. The best way that the Pittsburgh Steelers can do anything, anywhere, anytime, anyhow, is to continue to win and be in control of their own destiny.
yes.
Okay, I I cannot tell you how Look, I already got the defibrillator on standby. I got 911 on speed dial, right? Okay, I got nitroglycerin pills ready to go. That's what it's like watching this team week,
Yeah,
right? Okay, so what makes you think that this is going to be any different?
yeah,
Okay, it's going to be like that when you have a running and you have a quarterback that's only throwing it, you know, maybe 28 times a game, maybe 29 times a game, maybe getting to 200, maybe he throws a touchdown. Look, it's like that whole big issue that went down with Pickens, where
right.
he was chiming on social media and complaining about how he wasn't part of the thing and all that other stuff. The thing, man. Did you win? Yep. Are you moving on? Yep.
Yeah,
Cool. What do these wins mean at the end of the season? Playoffs. What happens then? Then you can shine. Now you can open it up. Now, I still think there's things that need to be done. I would really like to see some things change in Pittsburgh. I really think there's some change that needs to happen here if this team is going to take that next step. Okay? I think as an organization, they've taken that step to where, okay, now we're past Roethlisberger and everything else like that. But we need to start getting back to the relevancy again. Okay. And I think with the hiring of Omar Khan, I think with some of the free agencies that he's brought in here, I mean, thank God for what he's done, because with the injuries that the Steelers have had and then still being able to put a middle linebacker out on the field is beyond me.
yeah,
Okay. So kudos to him for that. The draft that he's done this year, I think, is extremely well.
yeah. It's looking
I
good.
cannot not even tell you that Broderick Jones, should have started sooner.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, but again, again, I'll caution this, and I'll say this. I said the same thing to Gage on Monday. Like, I think you have to. I think Tomlin has earned enough credit over his tenure that I think it's fair to say maybe his progress, maybe his process with Jones and with Benton and with Porter, maybe that's part of why they're playing so good. Maybe they needed the time to come along. Maybe Joey Porter needed to see a little bit of his, get a little confidence going. And maybe he needed to, maybe he wasn't really prepared to get burned week 1 by Brandon Ayuk all day. Maybe that's thoughtful. Maybe you sit here and say, okay, like, Patrick Peterson his confidence is not going to be broken down if I use him to kill some time at a starting spot for a couple weeks, because it's going to help bring along Joey Porter and get him to game shape. Cornerback specifically is a position where you have to feel yourself, man. You have to be vibing out there at corner. Look at Ike Taylor from Swaggin' You, okay? Like, a corner needs to feel himself, and you need to be confident. And, I'm just saying, if he goes out there week 1 trying to guard Brandon Ayuk, week 2 trying to guard Devontae Adams, that's a hell of a way to break into the league, isn't it? And I feel similar to Broderick Jones. Look at how often did we talk about the pass rushers they had to play in the first month of the season? They had to play Bosa, they had to play Crosby, they had to play Garrett. Again, do you want to break a guy, or do you want to give him a chance to get up to speed until you... I'm just saying, maybe they would have been as good from the start, but I'll give a little credit. Maybe it was thoughtful.
So I'm going to give you 50% of that. Okay? because I'm going to say that 50% of that probably was factored into that. But when you're that good, like why didn't he do that with Najee? Why didn't he do that with Kenny Pickett? Why didn't he do that with George?
Oh, he did with Pickett. Pickett was taken.
He did, right?
Yeah, Pickett. He did.
But what I'm saying
Najee.
is,
Yeah.
okay, so if you're going to do it for some, why not do it for all of them? Or if you're not going to do it for all of them, or so that's why I'm giving you 50% on that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm going to say, look, when you show up and pop off of tape like that, what are you doing?
No, yeah, I'll give you that. I think that my point is more finely tuned to Porter. I think it's fair to say that the coaches just didn't. I think that they just weren't comfortable putting that much on his plate until he got up to speed. You had to see he could do it.
All right. Yep.
I would agree. And then I think, the thing with Jones, shout out Georgia Bulldogs. I think the thing with Jones for me is that Tomlin is loyal to his players. You got to give him credit. And I think he really admires what Dan Moore has done for this team. I know Dan Moore hasn't been a phenomenal left tackle, but you got to give him credit. He has done really good against Myles Garrett. He has. And he's held up at times in some of these situations against these elite pass rushers. I know you may not love it, but like everybody gives up sacks against, Max Crosby and Nick Bosa. Like that's, they're elite players. So I think Tomlin, he's like that with guys. He doesn't think you should lose your job to injury. He doesn't, and Chooks has been here for a long time. And I don't know. I just think it's how it happened, but I'll give him credit. I think it was thoughtful. Maybe he was overthinking, sure, but it's getting there now, and the line is getting better, and they are cooking in the run game. I'm telling you what, if they do this week, they should win this game going away. Honestly, I know that won't happen, but they should.
Well, that's what I was trying to get to, right? That's why I made that comment about what I did. Did you see the difference?
Yeah.
I know you saw the difference. You could drive trucks through the holes that were being created. Najee didn't have to juke. All he had to do was look up and go, wow.
Yes.
Look at that beautiful countryside to run through.
And you're starting to see now the difference when Najee Harris is able to get to full speed. I have never bought in, okay, like even at his worst, there's been times where I'm like, yeah, maybe he wasn't probably worth a first round pick, but at least he took a lot of pressure off of the 10,000-year-old Roethlisberger, and he took a lot of pressure off of the rookie Pickett. Can't knock Najee for the contact he initiates. That dude never misses time. He's like Terrell Edmonds. He's always there. And running back, that is not the case, as we all remember with Le'Veon Bell, who was spectacular, but often unavailable when it mattered. And so that's one thing I always gave Najee credit for. Say what you want about the dude, but he, says all of the right stuff. Najee is the most well-spoken person in that locker room. I love when he talks. He is very smart and says great things. And is a great leader. And two, he's always healthy. And so, like, I love that. But now you're starting to see, like, he is a good running back. It's just he needs to get going. And I think that the way that they're mixing in Warren, I think is making them both better. I really do. I think that he's benefiting from having fresher legs. And I think that the run game and the Matt Canada system as a whole is really starting to get going now because of that dichotomy of those running backs. You've seen now a couple times where they'll have Naj in like a single back, and Jalen Warren will be coming like in motion as the fake handoff guy. And then all of a sudden, you're starting to see these Canada things, right? Like, I'm not going to call them brilliant, but like you'll start seeing these things where it's like they're giving handoffs to Calvin Austin enough that like it's like, okay, well, we got to pay attention to this guy. And then all of a sudden, Jalen Warren's coming this way, and then all of a sudden you got Najee, and you got to worry about Broderick Jones coming in and smashing out a hole. Like, I give credit where it's due. I just think for the first month of the season, everybody was like, Matt Canada is the worst offensive coordinator in the history of the world. And then he calls 2 games from the sideline and suddenly Kenny Pickett's the worst quarterback in the history of the world. Like, just chill, guys. Like, they're coming together. They're coming together. And I just can't tell you enough. Like, all of what I've been saying this week, the thumbnail in this radio show, all the joking, all that aside, I'm just trying to encourage you, enjoy it. Have a good time. It doesn't have to be negative. Like, I'm so hyped for this weekend. I'm so hyped for this game tonight. Cincinnati and Baltimore. Oh my God, you can't give me a better primetime game than this. I am absolutely jacked up. It's a win-win for us. Whoever wins, it helps us. And then we got AFC North ball of our own on Sunday, dude. I am not in the mood for the negativity, and I'm no fanboy of Kenny Pickett. My extent to like fandom as far as the quarterbacks on the roster go is that I think Mason Rudolph got a bum shake from the Steelers. I think Mitchell Trubisky sucks, and I think Kenny Pickett's getting better. That's my rundown of the Steelers quarterbacks.
And there you have it, folks. It was a nice little.
I do not want to watch Mitchell Trubisky play, though. I'll tell you, I don't. I think that guy really sucks. I really do. I don't. There's been few players I've been mean about since I've been on 5-star, but God, he just comes in and it's like instant interceptions, always.
Or like suddenly you just feel like, oh, this is a different team now. Like, wait a minute.
But he can do stuff. He can do stuff physically, but I have no trust in him.
That's like the first time. That's like the first time you're watching it, and Bubby Brister comes in for the first time. It just felt icky. Yeah. Or when you're watching it, and the first time that Neil O'Donnell took over, it just felt icky. Or Tommy Maddox.
Yeah. Well, I think I did that last year in this week 1 episode against the Bengals, and I was like, out trots the trusty old. That's not Ben Roethlisberger, and like I tried to like play with that. No, it is a general. It is a huge shift. Jason Bird in the chat says, maybe I'm late, but if we're going to talk about bum shakes for quarterbacks, how about Josh Dobbs? And yeah, so I've said this a handful of times,
There's no bum shake about with that kid right now.
No, of course. Yeah, he's got the world in his hands right now, truly. I think he's the story of the league this year. I really do. Don't you? I think if Minnesota makes the playoffs, I think he's the story of the league. I really believe it.
I've heard nothing but amazing things about Josh Dobbs since he started playing in Arizona. Yeah. Because when the season started and Kyler Murray was on the bench and everybody was like, oh, Josh Dobbs is going to start. And what did he do? He just came out and balled.
Yeah.
Okay, look, here's the thing. Okay. We didn't get to see this in Pittsburgh because A, he didn't get the playing time because he was either A, 3rd, or B, 4th string. Okay. Because there was quarterbacks quote unquote better, sure. Right? And we didn't have an offensive coordinator who was able to work with a running type quarterback. I mean, let's say had Ben Roethlisberger and Mr. Cement Shoes would drop back 7 steps and the ball was gone.
Yeah.
I mean, even when he was, in the prime of his. Yeah, he was a gunslinger, but he wasn't necessarily running around back there. You know what I mean?
He did make that. He made that one great throw against the Ravens. Was it? Remember, it was like a 3rd down. They were deep in their own territory, and Ben was out for like a minute, and they really needed space. And he completed I want to say it was like a 2nd and 18 or something.
Something like that. Yeah.
And then he had that one game. Remember that really goofy game at the end of 20 against the Browns where they played Rudolph and Dobbs? Remember Ben didn't play and they kind of just mixed it up.
Was that Wildcat? Was there a Wildcat in that
I don't think they ran Wildcat, but they were kind of doing that with Dobbs. They had Rudolph playing most of the snaps. Rudolph chucked it that day. Remember, he was throwing it all around the park.
Throwing it all over, man. That was
Dobbs
pretty,
would come in and run. So yeah, I'll give you that with Dobbs to the same extent that I feel about Mason Rudolph, which is that in the later years of the Roethlisberger era, the Steelers just did not care about developing that position at all. because they just didn't think they had to. And so, for a long time it was Landry Jones as the backup, and then I think they kind of, Dobbs and Mason were just going to try to be in the same vein of that, but they didn't ever think Dobbs especially was a placeholder lottery ticket. Rudolph, I think they thought maybe, if things work
Maybe.
out
Yeah.
the right way.
Maybe.
And I still think there's a universe where that happens, but I'll fault the Steelers for this. The biggest mistake that they've made in the last 10 years was that they didn't have a quarterback coach until they hired Matt Canada. That is just crazy. You can't have a room with young guys like that.
Okay, wait a minute. Hold on. I believe, oh God, what was his name?
When Fiechner was the offensive coordinator,
he started off as quarterbacks coach.
Yes, but when he was the offensive coordinator, they did not hire a quarterbacks coach. And that
Right.
to me has always been ridiculous, because you hear the stories about Rudolph, like they said that he only had virtual reps in his rookie year, and so when he came in, he was really as raw as he could have possibly been, because Ben was taking the reps, and Landry, I think in 17 was still here taking or 18, whatever. I don't, or
Something like
Dobbs.
that, yeah.
Dobbs, I think, was the second string in 18. So whatever, however it worked out, but for neither of them, I really believe that they were in a situation where the Steelers didn't do the best job developing them, and maybe they could have been, but Dobbs was never going to be with the Steelers. He was never going to be, the timing was never going to work out. It's easy to look at him now and say, like, oh wow, he's spectacular, and good for him. But for all the people that want to talk about Kenny Pickett's age and all this, Josh Dobbs has been in the NFL since 2017. This is his 7th season in the NFL. I'm not taking anything.
And about the same number of teams too,
Yeah.
I think.
I'm not taking anything away from what Dobbs is doing. He is literally a genius, and he is literally playing the best football of his life, and he is the story of the league, and I'm so happy for him. But like it's not, you can't say apples to oranges. Like, it's not the same. It wouldn't have been the same if he stayed with the Steelers. Right. And like, you can't predict how that would have all happened. And by the way, you would have booed him out of town, because he's been in the league for 7 years, and this is the first time he's done this. Kenny Pickett's been in the league for a year and a half, and you're already losing your damn minds because he's winning 6 games and not throwing enough touchdowns. There's no way it would have ever worked out that way. I'm not taking anything away from Dobbs, but 7 years, man. He's been in the league a better part of a decade. Like, relax.
I'm with you. No, I'm with you.
Yeah.
So what do you think here, man? Do you think, do you want to, what do you think, man? I really, there's a lot of guys on the list here for the injury report for the Browns. I do really think that if the Pittsburgh Steelers are able to put together the same type of game that they did last week against the Green Bay Packers. I understand that the Browns defense is slightly better.
Oh, it's way better. I mean, it got to be real. I've said it all year. I've been the one Steelers fan saying it. That defense is legit, dude. That defense is very good.
Like I said, slightly better. But if you can put it together against them, then you look. I agree. This has to be a must-win game. A lot of the players that are out for them, okay, are their tight end in just today, right?
Yeah, and Njoku, I don't think he usually has been practicing. He's still healing up his skin, I think. Remember, he had a bad burn injury and stuff.
Something like that. Mark Ingram did not practice. Their wide receiver, due to a concussion, he probably won't play. Okay. Greg Newsome, groin was limited. David Njoku, just resting.
Yeah,
is what it says, right? Okay, but Zadarius Smith resting, did not practice. Wyatt Teller.
Yeah, they have some
their guard.
Yeah, they have some depth issues on the O line right now.
Yeah, Dayward Jones. Their another guard, Michael Dunn. Mm-hmm. He was a full participant today in practice, but you know what I mean? That they're pretty banged up.
No, they are. But that's, to me, I don't even look at that. Okay, I just look at this, right? This is the reality, is that we've all watched the NFL for however long we've watched it. You know, we know how these things work. This is a team that, you know, not to give like a Braveheart talk for the Cleveland Browns, but this is truly a team that has their back against the wall, right? And we can clown on them, we can make fun of the Cleveland Browns all we want. You know, oh yeah, Myles Garrett isn't as good as you know, they're good. They're good. And this is a team that has a ferocious defense. We're going into their house. Yeah, they just lost their quarterback, but they're gonna be jacked up to hit the Steelers in the face. They're gonna come out. They're gonna try to play this game exactly like they did against Mason Rudolph to go back to 2019. But there are so many parallels. They're gonna just try to suffocate the offense and try to force Pickett into making mistakes that'll help them stay close. Because the reality is now with Cam back. And yes, the inside backer situation sucks, losing Quan and Holcomb. But if you were only going to have two guys against the Cleveland Browns, Roberts and Robinson are the ones you want, because those are the guys who are going to stuff the run.
Exactly, because that's what they're going to feature.
This is a team that's going to want to do that. You're going to have to keep a spy on this quarterback because he is very athletic. But you have to contain them. You know, you have to play this like we play the Ravens and just say that Dorian Thompson-Robinson is a lesser version of Lamar Jackson, and you just have to force him to try to beat you, and bet just like you did with Jordan Love and just like you did with Jimmy Garoppolo and just like you did with whoever, that you're going to force him into more turnovers than your guy is going to commit. And conversely, on the offensive side, like Pickett, everybody's going to be annoyed at me saying this, but Pickett needs to limit turnovers and opportunities for turnovers. He needs to be smart about getting it out quick. He needs to be smart about not testing those corners too much because they're really, really good.
Eventually, that little test is going to burn.
Yeah, no, I mean, you got to use your guys, but you got to be smart about it. And I think this is going to be another team that is going to This is going to be another game that fans are going to be frustrated by. But I think ultimately the Steelers come out on the plus side. I think a lot of people are gonna say, "Oh, this is trap game written all over it, and this is this and this is that." I just think they're gonna go in there, and I think they're gonna rise to the challenge. I think what they got going with this offensive line and this running game, I think is gonna be ferocious. I think you can use that. Yep, I think you can use that. You can use that to counter Garrett in the pass rush a little bit. And defensively, you just got to be smart. You know, the safety situation is a little bit tricky. It seems like Minka's probably not going to play. So,
No, he's from what I've been reading and seeing and everything.
No,
he's
and
probably at least another 2 weeks.
I think it's gonna be next week, because that would be 4 weeks. They would have probably
Okay, yeah. So this week he may come back. Not next week. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we'll see with that. But I see the concerns, but I think they have to be smart. I think they need to be creative, and I think they need to just bet again that they're going to win the turnover ratio and take advantage. I think that they should win this game. I think that this is for all intents and purposes the biggest game so far of young Kenny Pickett's career as a Pittsburgh Steeler. I believe this really sets in motion the rest of the season, because no matter what happens this week between both of these AFC North games, the Steelers are going to be dogs in Cincinnati, justifiably so. It's a tough matchup with Burrow and that offense. It's just a tough matchup. So it makes it so important that you pull off this game, because if you get to 7-4, you have a little bit of room for error. It's the NFL. You're going to slip up. You're going to lose games. It's going to happen. But the difference between going in there 7-3 versus 6-4 is substantial. Yeah. It's substantial. And, and I just think, I think this is going to be very telling. And frankly, I hope Kenny Pickett goes out, and I hope he has another game where he throws 15 of 21 for 147 yards, but Najee and Jalen go for 250 and they win. I don't care. I'm leaning in at this point. Take that all day long.
Yeah, I'll take that all day long,
I'm
buddy.
Leaning in.
Look, I'm with you, man. I'm with you. I'll take that all day long. Look, I love me some running game. I love me Jones popping there and taking people out at the
Mm-hmm.
second level because that is the only way that Najee is going to be successful.
Yeah.
We don't need that for Jalen.
Yeah.
Jalen can be successful without that, but Najee needs that so that he gets to that second level because look at what happens when he does. Okay? All
Exactly.
you have to do is look at what happens when he does.
Exactly.
So,
As the legendary Empower 69 says, ugly wins count. They do.
see, the key word is wins.
Yes.
So they don't have to be pretty, right? They
Yes.
can be ugly, nasty, or scraping on the bottom of the barrel of the end of your shoe.
Listen, back there, right
Yeah,
there. You can't see it because it's
yeah.
blurred out on my camera. That's Heinz Ward in Super Bowl 40. And right there, that's Jerome Bettis, also in Super Bowl 40. Right? Let me tell you something. Did a quarterback throw a touchdown in that game for the Pittsburgh Steelers?
No, a quarterback did not. Well, wait, an ex-quarterback did from college.
Did a quarterback throw a touchdown in that game for the Steelers?
Not unless he's wearing number 82.
Exactly, brother. And who gives a damn? Because we got to see Jerome Bettis hoist the Lombardi Trophy in Detroit, Michigan. Okay? The story is what.
End of story.
That's the
Mic drop.
story. That's the story, okay? How you get there, just it adds color, it adds detail. If Lord of the Rings, if there was nothing that happened in the middle, it would be a bunch of hobbits who went to a mountain and the story would be over. Okay? It's about the journey. Take a ride with
Yes.
me, hop on my magic carpet, and enjoy the next 6 or 8 weeks or whatever, however much time is left. Enjoy it. Let's have fun, guys. Like, chill.
Let's do it.
We're gonna survive.
But first, what you have to do though is go over to patreon.com/5SMU and drop the $4 a month or $7 a month.
Yeah.
Dude, look, it's less than $50 a year if you do the $4. It's like $8. Right? Okay. And what that does though is that gives all the great people that bring you this show,
Yes.
5-star, all the great people that do the 5-star show, all these radio shows, all this stuff keeps it rolling, man. So we're asking you guys to please hop on over to the patreon.com/5SMU, drop the $4, drop the $7, get the cool merch, get the great little icons next to your name in the chat, get to be able to talk to the great man himself, 5-star Steve, on the Discord, private Discord. You get to have access to that. Come on, folks, it's less than a cup of coffee a day, man.
I appreciate
it's $4 a month.
I appreciate that. We got an awesome. I gotta say, the Discord server alone is completely worth the price of admission. You can see a little bit of it here. It'll be blurred out, obviously, the camera, but I'm in it all day. I mean, me and the folks in there are just talking about the Steelers all day, and you know, it's
That's right.
passive. You don't have to be texting all day every day. Some people pop in, pop out. But especially during the games, man, it's been a lot of fun this year. We've had more interaction than ever. Because we have more patrons than ever. There's up almost 100 patrons now. That's crazy. Almost 100 Patreon supporters.
Do I see you at 16,000?
16,000 subscribers. Yeah.
Snip, snap.
We are moving.
Oh, yeah, baby. 16,000 subscribers.
Listen, we are moving fast this year. We've done about 3 times as many views this season as we did last year. The show is cooking.
Yeah, man.
And
that's right, baby.
And so if you can, hop over patreon.com/5SMU. It's I know it's like, it just seems like an annoying little thing to have to do it, but you go do it once, you set it up, you let it go. Gives my team $4, $5, $6 a month. It helps a lot.
Exactly.
So I appreciate it.
And yeah, man. And I'll tell you what else would really, if you would hop over to steelflyers.com, check us out over there. Check me out on Twitter at steelflyers52, or you can check me out on YouTube at Steel Flyers All Sports Network. Man, that would be greatly appreciated if you go over there and hit the subscribe and the like, and catch all the great stuff that we're doing over there, man. We got all kinds of stuff. We cover hockey, we cover football. So not just the Steelers, but also other teams as well too. So hey man, go over and check us out, man. Really appreciate that. Helps to keep us rolling as well too. So, man, I'll tell you what. Thank you, Steve, for what you do here, man. Thank you to your team, Gage, and all the folks that do all the stuff, man. Thank you to all of them, and thank you for putting out such a great product that we get to enjoy on Sundays, and I get to spend my Thursdays with one of my good friends. And all of you people out there, all of my good friends, and we get to sit back on Thursdays and talk Steelers football. How freaking cool is that? Right?
It is.
We're all family. We're all talking the same thing, and we all want the same thing. W's.
Exactly. No, it's a blast. And, I'm thankful to everybody that hangs out and listens to me yammer on about the Steelers and
5-star sirens.
5-star sirens. They're coming for me because I've been on fire the last week.
Yeah, you got that right, Mr. Infuego.
I'm just having fun out here, man. I just, 5 years of doing this now. I'm just like, I'm over worry. I'm over giving a damn, frankly. I just am out here just having fun and just saying what I want to say. And,
that's right. That's exactly right.
The sirens literally are killing me during my heartfelt, meaningful goodbye. I love it. They're passing by, the Doppler effect. I can hear it. They're getting further away, further away, further away. Yeah. So I'm just trying to have some fun here. I'm just leaning in a little bit. Obviously I'm not trying to fight nobody over Kenny Pickett. You're entitled to your opinion too. My point is, just have some fun, man. Enjoy it.
Yeah.
Go watch some AFC North ball tonight and watch some AFC North ball on Sunday. And maybe we'll be in first place come Sunday, or we'll have a bunch of good stuff to talk about. Real quick before we go, who do you like tonight, and which would you prefer tonight as a Steeler fan?
Okay. As a Steeler fan, I would like to see Cincinnati win just to keep Baltimore. The only reason why is because Cincinnati has lesser record than Baltimore does, and if you keep Baltimore off the win sheet for the AFC, then Pittsburgh a better window or a better road to win the division if Baltimore doesn't win.
That's fair. I've gone back and forth all day. I think ultimately I settle on, I think it's actually better for us if Baltimore wins, because I just don't think the Steelers are going to end up winning the division. I don't think they're there yet. And I think that I'd rather unclog up that middle a little bit, because I don't want to fall behind. I don't want to fall behind Cincinnati. That can happen in a week if they win and we lose and then we play them next week.
I'm with you.
I'd rather, and especially with Watson now out for the year, I'd rather try to unclog the middle of that and firmly ensconce ourselves in second place. And I know people are going to be like,
some separation there.
Yeah, I know people are going to be like, oh, well, that's very like, defeatist or whatever. But like, I don't think the Steelers are going to end up winning the division. I think, and I'd rather knock both Cleveland and Cincy back a little further and worry less about Baltimore, namely because we already have a win over them and we get a shot against them week 18. You can't ask for that any more than that.
So you think that no matter what, because if the Pittsburgh Steelers make the playoffs, they will more than likely face the winner of the AFC North in the wild card round, which will more than likely
probably. Okay. I'd rather do that than be the 7th seed and have to play Kansas City or Buffalo or something.
Yeah, okay. Well, I don't think.
That's true. Or Miami, I guess.
Miami might be the one now. You know what I mean? And
that's true.
I have to look out for them. But
still, if you gave me the choice, I'd rather go into Baltimore 2 weeks in a row with Kenny Pickett. Wouldn't that be something? Wouldn't that be just the ultimate? If that's how that played out,
we would get the home field.
If we won that game.
Right? So if it would be the third game now.
The best scenario, I'll tell you right now, the best scenario is that Pittsburgh maintains within a game of Baltimore, right? That last week they go in, Jackson beats them last minute, they lose. They end up getting matched up with Baltimore the next week in Baltimore again. They play in Baltimore 2 weeks in a row. And Kenny Clutch goes into Baltimore and drops the dagger when it matters most in Baltimore again, like he already did last year. And the Steelers win their first playoff game since 2016. That is the best scenario that could happen for the rest of this season. I am going to get out before I say anything else that is not as awesome as that. I will see you guys next week. Love y'all. Thanks for the time, and catch you down there.